Imagine looking at your dispatch dashboard, like right in the middle of July.
Oh man, peak heat wave territory.
Exactly. You are up 40% in booked jobs, your trucks are running 12-hour shifts, your dispatchers can, barely keep up with the inbound call volume.
The board is just completely green.
Right. It's totally
Yeah.
full. You look at that screen and you think you are absolutely crushing it.
Because on paper, it looks amazing.
It does. But what if I told you your average ticket value just dropped, your customer acquisition cost doubled, and you are literally paying money to lose your highest margin jobs to your biggest competitors?
Yeah, that dashboard is lying to you. Or, well, at least it's hiding the truth.
Totally.
The sheer volume is creating this massive smokescreen. And it just covers up incredibly expensive structural cracks in your business.
We see this specific scenario play out constantly. So, okay, let's unpack this. Today, you are getting a seat at the table for an internal Atrium strategy session.
Right. Pulling back the curtain a bit.
Yes, exactly. As a growth partner for contractors and design-focused businesses, our mission isn't just, generating leads.
I mean, anyone can buy a cheap lead.
Literally anyone. We focus on building systems for predictable, high-quality projects. And right now, we're tearing down the busy season illusion.
It's such a dangerous illusion.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're going to look at how peak summer demand, especially in HVAC, secretly cannibalizes your profit margins and basically sets you up for a devastating fall.
Because the weather is doing the heavy lifting right now. I mean, the weather is your marketing strategy.
Sad but true.
When it's 95 degrees out, consumer panic is what drives the call volume, not the efficiency of your brand positioning or your internal systems.
We were just tearing into this during an internal campaign review recently. Our colleague Diego, who leads a lot of our marketing execution here at Atrium, he pulled some campaign data across a pretty wide cohort of clients.
Yeah, Diego's data pull is striking.
It was. He flagged a pattern in the Service Titan dashboards that really, it forces you to rethink what a good month actually looks like.
Because the contrast was just so sharp. Across the board, these home service companies were seeing that 20 to 40% increase in booked jobs during the summer heat waves.
Right. Volume was peaking.
Peaking massively. But the average ticket value was completely flat.
Which is wild to think about.
It is. In several cases, the revenue per job was actively dropping week over week. And this is while the technicians were working maximum overtime.
It honestly reminds me of running an engine at 7,000 RPMs while you're stuck in first gear.
That is a perfect analogy.
Like you're making a massive amount of noise, you're burning through fuel at an unsustainable rate, which, is your technicians running ragged and your ad spend skyrocketing.
But you aren't actually gaining any top speed.
Right. You aren't banking any real cash reserves.
But let me play devil's advocate for a second here.
Okay, go for it. If I'm an owner looking at the P&L and top line revenue is up, the guys are getting their hours, and we are easily making payroll. Why step in and mess with it? Isn't keeping the crew busy the ultimate goal?
What's fascinating here is that a full schedule is only the goal if it's full of profitable work.
Ah, profitable work. Okay.
Right. The danger of running in first gear at 7,000 RPMs is what's happening under the hood. The market demand completely masks the inefficiencies.
How so?
Well, first, your advertising costs are quietly cannibalizing your margins. In July, every single contractor in your zip code is bidding on the exact same emergency AC repair keywords.
Oh, right, because everyone is slammed.
Exactly. The Google Ads auction gets hyper-competitive.
So even though I'm getting organic calls from the heat wave, the algorithmic bidding on the paid side is silently punishing me because the whole market is panicked.
The cost per click just goes through the roof. You are paying a premium just to get the homeowner to look at your site.
Wow.
And second, your highly trained technicians are wasting their time on low-value triage.
Right, just running around putting out fires.
Literally. They are running from house to house doing cheap repairs, swapping out capacitors, just putting bandages on systems.
Which means the really good, high-margin jobs, the full system replacements, the premium installations, they're just dying on the vine.
You get completely ignored.
Because your best guys don't have the time to sit down, do a proper load calculation, and walk a homeowner through a $15,000 premium system install.
No, they have dispatch breathing down their neck to get to the next $200 repair.
The structural rot is settling in while everyone feels super productive.
That's the scariest part.
Yeah. The influx of emergency calls makes the business feel healthy, but the foundational systems that actually capture profit are breaking down. And the real tragedy happens when the temperatures drop in September.
Oh, man. The September drop.
The heavy lifting the weather was doing just vanishes overnight.
The emergency calls evaporate.
Yep. And you're left staring at an empty dispatch board with bloated ad costs. Which I guess brings us to how we actually diagnose this before the fall hits.
Right, because the instinct for most owners when they get busy in June is to just throw money at the problem.
Totally. They crank up the Google Ads budget because they want to capture everything, but they do it completely blind.
They aren't looking at search terms.
No, they aren't listening to call recordings, and they certainly aren't tracking estimate follow-ups.
It's just a reactive surge. They pay peak season prices for clicks, but the infrastructure catching those clicks is actively crumbling.
So how do we fix it? Or rather, how do we spot it early?
Well, to test if a business is just experiencing a seasonal spike or if they're suffering from structural rot, we have to pull the data out of the summer vacuum.
Okay.
We have to look at a 12-month timeline.
I see. And the most revealing metric we look at is comparing the cost to acquire a booked job. And I mean a booked job, not just a lead in June versus February.
Which is crucial because February is notoriously slow for HVAC.
Exactly. If your cost to actually book a job is significantly higher in June when demand is peaking, your conversion process is failing.
The leads are hitting the system, but the system is just dropping them on the floor.
Right.
Think about the psychology of a dispatcher during a heat wave. The phone is ringing over the current call. The Service Titan board is glowing red with unassigned jobs.
It's chaos.
Total chaos. A homeowner calls in, panicking about a broken AC. Now, in February, that dispatcher takes the time to ask qualifying questions.
They build rapport.
Exactly. They figure out the age of the unit to prep the technician for a potential replacement conversation.
But in July, they are just trying to clear the queue. They take an address, throw a technician on it, and hang up.
They degrade the lead quality themselves just to survive the shift.
It's wild. Speed to lead goes totally out the window. Calls go to voicemail. Web forms sit in an inbox for like 3 hours.
And a homeowner sweating in an 85-degree living room is not leaving a voicemail and waiting patiently.
No way. They're moving to the next contractor on the search results.
The second metric that really exposes this rot is estimate approval rates.
Oh, this is a big one.
When we audit these accounts, we consistently see approval rates on major estimates absolutely plummet during the summer.
That is the ultimate red flag.
It really is. If your call volume increases every summer, but your profit margins and your close rates on high-ticket jobs drop, you do not have a marketing problem.
No, you have a structural problem.
You are paying a premium to generate opportunities that your internal system physically cannot close.
Here's where it's really interesting. I want to bring up a specific internal case review we did recently to ground this in reality.
Oh, the one from last year.
Yeah, because looking at the mechanics of this failure is mind-blowing. We were working with an HVAC owner last year who had 8 technicians.
Right.
In June, all 8 were running packed schedules. From the outside, the operation looked totally flawless. Then September hit, the weather broke, and their pipeline was just a ghost town.
They hit the wall incredibly hard.
They really did. So we went back and audited the CRM data from that supposedly flawless, busy summer. We found that nearly 35% of their replacement estimates, like the massive high-margin jobs that actually build a profitable business, never received a single follow-up call.
35%. Think about the sheer volume of revenue sitting in that 35%.
It's staggering.
And the mechanics of why it happens are entirely predictable.
Let's break down that psychology, actually. Why does a technician walk away from a $15,000 opportunity?
It's not because they don't want the commission.
No, of course not. But it's 4 p.m. in July. The tech has been in 330-degree attics. They finish a diagnostic, quote, a system replacement, and the homeowner gives the classic objection, we need to sleep on it. It's a big investment.
Which is a totally normal reaction.
Exactly. But the technician's exhausted and has 2 more no-cooling calls waiting on the board.
The commission structure often plays a role here too, frankly.
How so?
Well, many structures reward closing a smaller ticket today over nurturing a massive ticket next week.
That makes sense.
So the tech takes the path of least resistance. They log the quote in the CRM. It sits as an open estimate, and they just drive to the next house.
And because the dispatchers are overwhelmed just fielding new inbound emergencies, nobody in the office is managing a follow-up pipeline.
Exactly.
The CRM doesn't have an automated sequence triggering an SMS or an email to that homeowner. The estimate just gathers digital dust.
The crucial realization here is that they didn't lose those jobs because their pricing was too high or because their equipment was inferior.
No, they lost them strictly because of a follow-up vacuum.
Consumer behavior shifts radically during a heat wave. We see this in the search data all the time.
People just want relief.
Right. Homeowners panic, they act quickly, and they often call 3 different companies for quotes.
So if you operate on the assumption that a homeowner is going to politely review your estimate and call you back next week to award you the job, you are completely misreading the room.
100%. They value responsiveness and certainty over almost everything else in that moment of discomfort.
The company that follows up the next morning, I mean, even if their bid is $2,000 higher, is going to win that replacement job simply because they demonstrated system competency.
They prove they have their act together.
Yep. If your team is too busy swapping out a $200 capacitor across town to call back a $15,000 replacement estimate, the marketing actually worked perfectly.
That's the irony of it.
Right. It brought the ideal client to your doorstep. Your infrastructure just couldn't support the weight of it.
So if the problem is that the technicians are drowning in low-margin triage work and ignoring the premium replacements, how do we stop the cheap calls from flooding the board without turning off the marketing entirely?
Which is the million-dollar question. And this is where we need to look at how we build systems to fix this at Atrium. Because diagnosing the rot is just step one.
Right. The fix requires shifting the objective entirely. We have to move away from the chaotic pursuit of just more leads.
And focus entirely on engineering better jobs.
Exactly. The first pillar of doing that is establishing absolute budget clarity. You have to know the exact, fully loaded cost of acquiring a booked job.
Because if you don't know your true cost per acquisition, those skyrocketing peak season ad costs we talked about earlier will silently eat your entire margin.
You'll be spending premium dollars to acquire low-value jobs, operating at a net loss while feeling incredibly busy.
Which is the worst feeling.
It is. Budget clarity means tracking the campaign source of every single booked job down to the keyword level. You need to know which campaigns are driving the $200 repair and which ones are driving the $15,000 replacement.
Which naturally leads to the second piece of the system, which is job quality.
Yes, and this is a massive mindset shift for a lot of contractors we talk to.
It really is. You have to actively filter out the low-margin price shoppers.
And we do that through premium positioning. The messaging on your website, the copy in your ads, the way your dispatchers answer the phone. It all has to communicate expertise, long-term system value, and premium service.
It sets a completely different expectation.
Exactly. When you position the brand as the high-end experts who design systems that last, you create friction for the client who is just hunting for the cheapest, fastest bandage.
You essentially build a moat around your technician's time.
I like that. A moat.
Yeah. The marketing filters out the noise, so when the phone does ring, it's a homeowner who values the long-term solution.
And that instantly frees up the technician.
Right. They can actually sit down, do the load calculation, and close the premium estimate without dispatch yelling at them to hurry up.
And that brings us to the most critical component, which is system consistency.
Right. Because you can have the best positioning in the world, but if your internal mechanics fail under pressure, the leads still die.
You need airtight protocols for the basics.
Speed to lead, hitting web forms within 3 minutes, tracking exactly where jobs originate.
And most importantly, automating the estimate follow-up.
Yes, the automation piece is huge. The CRM has to do the heavy lifting when the humans are exhausted.
If an estimate goes unsigned, an automated sequence must trigger. A text message goes out the next morning.
A follow-up call is scheduled on a dedicated outbound callers board, not the dispatcher who is fighting the inbound fires.
Right, separate the roles.
I want to inject some realism here regarding how owners usually try to solve this pressure. Because, well, we've seen a lot of collateral damage from bad advice.
Oh, definitely.
When the board is glowing red in July and the systems are breaking, the knee-jerk reaction is to just hit the brakes. You know, pause the Google ads, pause the SEO, tell the marketing guys to turn it all off until we catch our breath.
And that approach absolutely destroys your fall pipeline.
It provides like a 48-hour sense of relief for the dispatchers, but it triggers a catastrophic algorithm penalty.
People don't realize this.
They really don't. When you pause a fully optimized Google Ads campaign, you throw the machine learning completely out of whack.
It resets everything.
Exactly. When you inevitably turn it back on in September because the phone stopped ringing, the algorithm has to relearn your audience from scratch. Your cost per lead doubles, and you have zero momentum.
Our colleague Andrea Romero recently highlighted this actually when she was reviewing our strategy for a client called FluTech.
Oh yeah, Andrea's insight on this was brilliant.
It was. When we look at the contractors who dominate their market straight through the fall, they never hit the pause button.
Never.
They utilize that summer peak to basically build the runway for the slow season.
They use the influx of cash flow to aggressively market their maintenance agreements.
Yes, they lock those summer emergency callers into long-term service contracts that keep the crews busy in October.
It's so smart. They bank cash reserves, and they keep their ad spend remarkably consistent.
Because consistency always outperforms frantic pausing and surging. The algorithms reward steady, predictable budgets with lower cost per click averages over time.
Right. You don't turn off the marketing.
No, you refine the targeting. You refine it to only capture the premium jobs while your competitors are choking on the low-value overflow.
That is the whole ball game right there.
Yeah.
So what does this actually mean for you looking at your business today?
It means taking a hard look at the numbers.
Exactly. If you are looking at a packed schedule right now and feeling a false sense of security, you need to step back and look at the mechanics. Do not let the weather take credit for your marketing.
A schedule stuffed with low-margin jobs is not momentum.
No, it is a treadmill. You need to pull the data on your estimate approval rates.
You need to listen to your recorded calls this week. Find out if your dispatchers are getting short with people or rushing through qualifying questions.
Audit your CRM and see how many $10,000 estimates are just sitting there in the pending column because the technician was too tired to send a follow-up text.
Because the cracks in the foundation only show up when the house is under maximum pressure.
Exactly. If you are sitting there realizing that you've been relying on the weather or that your team is dropping the ball on follow-up and you want to transition from a chaotic flood of cheap leads to a predictable system for high-quality projects.
Well, that is exactly the architecture we build at Atrium.
It is. We operate as a growth partner to fix the structural rot and build the systems that actually catch the revenue. You can see how we break this down further at creativeatrium.com.
Because honestly, leaving that rot untreated is a massive vulnerability.
It really is.
I mean, imagine your biggest, most aggressive competitor looking at your operation. They realize your team is too bogged down running $200 service calls to follow up on premium replacement estimates.
Oh, man.
What happens to your market share if they build an automated system specifically designed to call back the 35% of clients that you left waiting in the heat?
They steal your most profitable jobs right out from under you.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be too busy bailing water out of a sinking ship to even notice they're gone. Thanks for sitting in on this Atrium Strategy Deep Dive with us. We'll catch you on the next one.